I was getting ready to do this stuff. And, you know, this video. And I got curious, and I was like, you know, how many videos have I uploaded to this channel? Because I noticed the thing said I was over 100. So obviously along the way, we've done 100 videos. Accidentally. Like, I mean, I guess we've done Minecraft, and we've done the other, I've lost count now, but I think this might be like, I don't know, the 54th episode of Phoenix Wright. So Phoenix Wright makes up at least half of the first 100. But I checked it out. This episode right here of Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations, is the 240th video on our group channel. We got a lot of series going on here too, though. We have Shapeshifting Detective, which happened forever ago. The Letter, which Calum still hasn't finished, but he wants to finish. Hellblade, Minecraft, Human Fall Flat, which we just finished the other day, so no more Human Fall Flat unless there's a sequel. Me and Skylar have talked about doing a sequel if it comes out. And more to come. Skylar has his own show coming up, which is going to be a Let's Play. I'm not going to say what yet, but I've been working on some art for that, and it's pretty cool right now. Got to draw myself as a pretty famous video game villain. But hello everybody, and welcome back to the 240th video on this channel, Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. In the last episode, we finally figured out what was going on with the urn. Adrian dropped it, and she felt all nervous, so she didn't want to talk about it. And we also discovered that Delight, our client, he probably is the masked Star Damask. But right now, it's time to defend him in court, and this is part 4 of the case, so we can assume that by the end of this episode, we will be done. October 14th, 9:41 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 4. Isn't it usually number 2 or number 3? I guess it's number 4. Hey, Nick. What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Try me, Miss Faye. Well, it is a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. There's a trial next door? Next door? You don't know this? Why don't you know this, Nick? They're having Detective Atmey's trial today. Detective Atmey? They say they're going to try him as Masked Star Damask. Already? That was fast. Boy, I'd love to see Masked Star Damask's trial, but instead I gotta do this bullshit with you. I know. It's red, so I'm just like, I know. By the way, where's Pearls? What was that red? What? Wait, what? No one spoke up. What the fuck was that? Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore. I know you don't like me. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please, don't ignore me. Oh, it was him talking. Why was it red?
Oh. Oh, Mr. Delight. Good morning.
No one likes me. No one would notice me even if I killed someone.
Come on, don't be silly. Wait a sec.
You don't mean you're the murderer?
No. I'm just a poor thief.
Shit, no, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be poor. Well, actually, that's a lot of reasons why people become thieves, because they're poor. Now let's see, according to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit these heists. Why was his dialogue red? I thought we were being possessed.
Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murderer, Nick?
It's possible. But today's trial is a race against the clock.
Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always.
I'm afraid that's not an option.
Shit ass?
October 14th, 10 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby, number 6. Hello, Godot. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready. Preparation is the last refuge of the weak. Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot. Oh, that's not his voice at all. This is his voice. Why did I do that voice? I'm a judge. Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. I'm afraid I have no idea what the fuck that means, asshole. Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is a war, but that is exactly why you must be more precise with your wording. As Kneale fucks it up even though he's talking about precise wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes, well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case. Wow, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day. And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That lost kitten is, of course, the defendant. I am the superior life form. Very well, then. Mr. Godot, please call your first witness. Who's the witness gonna be? Is it gonna be Larry? He's the only one I can think of. I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best. Mr. Godot, your witness? Okay then, let's hear what the defendant, Ron Delight, has to say for himself. The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but... I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify, so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Rondelite to testify. You've got guts, Trite. All right, then. Mr. Rondelite, please take the stand. You did it, didn't you? Yes. What? No, that's not true. Well, fuck us, am I right? Phew! Well then. What do I even do about all this? Alright. For a moment, there I thought we'd set the record straight. For a moment there, I thought we'd set the record straight for the shortest trial ever.
Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making.
And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go.
Now then, let's hear. Sorry, I'm getting text messages about stuff we're doing later tomorrow. It's stuff, and that's all I'm gonna say. Not stuff going on. Wait, what was I doing? Oh yeah, playing a video game. Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened. Alrighty.
That evening around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago.
Wait, before we do anything, we gotta give her a save. Oh, did we save? Alright. I am so sorry, I know this is unprofessional, but I gotta get this stuff out there in order to make sure that we can do stuff tomorrow. So if I just say nothing, I'm stuck. Alright, I am now done. So, I should be able to just keep this all going. Alright.
I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
Oh, that's it? That was like 2 statements. 1 a.m. The exact time the murder took place. The weak get washed away,
By the tides of fate, the strong drink it up.
That was perfect. I just perfectly timed my drink to Godot drinking. Maybe he'll be my excuse to drink from now on.
It's bitter today.
Wait, what?
It's bitter today, too. Just like my destiny. You'd never know that from the way he's chugging it down.
Mr. Wright, please cross-examine your witness. My visit to KB Security.
That evening, around 1 a.m.
Oh, I never did an audio check. I need to do that real fast. Sorry!
Hello? Hello? Am I hearable? Hello? Hello, Kneale? Kneale of the phone?
I am hearable. There it is.
Alright. So, let's listen.
1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, that's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow, and my internal clock was also a bit...
1 a.m. That's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct?
It's too late. It's too late for a coffee date. That's for sure.
It ordered you there?
It was the first time I'd ever gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere.
Does that mean you've gotten blackmail before?
Oh, of course. They'd say things like, steal this or take that.
Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more. Now, what should I do? It's early, so press a little harder, I guess. So, what did the blackmail letter in question say?
It said to bring 50,000. Money, eh? A perfect motive for murder. But wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway.
Oh? Is that right?
After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of.
An important point indeed. Add that shit to your testimony. Let's have that added to your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Ha! A muddy mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do.
The blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me trouble or anything.
Okay. Oh, whoops. Pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Alright. Okay. Wait. I lost my place. Where are we? You know what? I'll just press everything. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway? The blackmail letter said that you don't want your identity revealed, correct?
I'm sure it was referring to the whole Master Damask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me.
He didn't?
Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me. So that's why Miss Delight didn't believe he was Mass Stardust. That's why I knew they were just hollow threats.
And I guess this one's the last one. I lost my place. I don't actually know which one we're supposed to present evidence for, so I think I screwed myself over. You used to be a security chief for KB Security, right?
Yes, that's right.
A security chief? You?
And yet, a year ago you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? A perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say?
This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Oh. Well. Life after being fired? I don't see how that would be relevant. And this is just don't say anything, so yeah, why was he fired? Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job.
Well, the world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that.
Okay, I take it as... Defendant, please answer the question. I think we were gonna take it back.
Well, I needed money.
You needed money?
Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough. So I stole data from the company.
Come again?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief...
You stole some data and sold it.
Mr. Bullard found out, and I was fired immediately.
What? I wish I had never asked that. I think we fucked up. I think we should have picked the other one.
I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I had quit on my own. What is it, Nick? You don't look so good.
Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that.
He sure told you.
So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony. Wait, we got 2 things added to the testimony?
Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse. Crashed and blew up.
It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. Alright. So, he fired me for selling company secrets. I'd been working for KV. Okay, blackmail letter I got. Okay. This is the first one. This is the first thing we got from pressing. Blackmail didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me any trouble or anything. So, I think I know what to do for this one. So he's like, it's not going to cause me any trouble. But in this one over here, he says, Desi believes in me, so who cares? So maybe the contradiction is that he didn't want his wife to find out? I don't know. I think it's this, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like I'm on to something with this. Hold it. Objection. Objection. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday.
Huh? What doesn't?
I think you must have been scared. Very scared. Of having a certain person find out your secret. A certain person? Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife.
What? But I... Listen to me, my Desi, she's...
Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins.
Good.
Godot. Yes. We all know it was all your wife's fault.
What do you mean?
Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him.
Do we have to keep looking at that?
And that's how this murder came about.
Oh?
No. Everything is falling neatly into place for him. Don't talk about my Desi like that, or you'll be sorry.
Oh fuck, I think we just lost. Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick?
I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. Clearly, these are sufficient motives for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret.
I don't know why I did Edgeworth's voice there for a second, but I did.
A family man who cared just a little too much.
The motive is clear. Let's move on.
Ag.
What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come on now. Tell us, we're all ears.
At the CEO's office.
When I entered... Oh. I just realized that Ron's voice sounds like a younger Edgeworth's voice. Edgeworth sounds a little older, more refined. And Ron sounds younger, kinda like this. But they are very similar voices. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there.
That looked a lot like Atme.
Suddenly, I was hit on the head. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. What, his mask? Devin Henry. The dude with white hair sounded seductive like.
Thank you. I made his voice sound like Shadow the Hedgehog, the ultimate life form.
When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there dead.
Welcome to the stream, Devin. I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective... I don't know what I was doing with my words there. I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that Master Damask struck him on the head from behind. Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Huh.
No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that.
This is Phoenix Wright, Devin Henry. It is a visual novel game, and it is also a point-and-click adventure game, and it's very fun.
What are you saying? I was really attacked.
We'll find out if what you say is true or not during your cross-examination.
Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend.
You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. Okay. I do want to press on this one, because, like, just before we do anything else, I want to press on this one, because he didn't say what he was wearing. That? Could you please clarify what you are referring to?
Why, my Master Mask costume, of course.
Wait just a moment! Master Damask!
Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed up as Master Damask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO, KB Security.
What?
Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this.
I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either.
Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets.
I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until... Now, wait. That's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind?
Haha. My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought it was starting to get cold, but apparently the coffee is staring at him. So, the coffee has eyes. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of evidence. Witness, please correct your testimony. Okay, so this is probably the one we need evidence for, but we didn't press a lot of stuff, and this one is tricky. Oh, it is like a soap opera, Devin. This whole thing is like a soap opera. Whole game, I swears it to you. And we've been playing this game for a while. This is actually the 3rd game in a trilogy, and this is the second chapter in the 3rd game. So, I'm not going to call myself a pro, but I have circled myself with this game a bit.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Master Damask costume.
Alright. Well, let's give this a press. And then we'll press on everything else. Why were you dressed up as Master Damask?
Why, because I'm Master Damask, of course.
What are you talking about? Master Damask's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Master Damask issue. So, I thought I should go as him just to be safe.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move with that cape around. That's why it looks a lot longer than I'd expected.
Took a lot longer.
Took a lot longer? What's he talking about?
Let's press harder.
What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullet's body.
Oh, Ron, you are digging yourself a grave. What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You were the one to hide Mr. Bullet's body?
Well...
Inconceivable! What? Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine?
What?
The answer is simple. When they take them off.
As usual, I have no fucking idea what you're going on about, you weird Cyclops cosplaying jackass. Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer?
Haha. So you're not as stupid as you look. His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Shit, Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure to add this to your testimony.
Wait a minute, wasn't this already added to the testimony? Oh, this case is messing with all the rules.
Oh crap, I was trying to Sorry, I was trying to look at the chat, because it said I got a new comment, and I, ended up clicking a whole nother video.
Alright. Witness, make sure you add this to your testimony.
Okay, so forget pressing everything else. This has to be what we're looking for, because we literally had to go through a whole nother dialogue to get it.
Uh-oh. Looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes.
So this might be a good time to look through all the evidence and see what we have.
So, I don't think we have anything here. Camera data. That doesn't help us because it was a different location. That doesn't help us. Nope, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we had to go back to pressing more. It could be this, I guess. One's testimony. None of this helps us right now. Does it say what time this dude died? Do we have this dude's autopsy? Where's his autopsy? There it is. Okay, he definitely died at 1 a.m. Maybe it's this. We haven't lost any health yet. Let's give it a go.
Objection!
It is this. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might this be?
The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to the security. If the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. Shit. According to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m.
What? If Ron Delight truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Objection!
Ah. Let's remember who we're dealing with here.
He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. He was a chief, Godot! Up until a year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about that. Ooh, another objection.
But as it turns out, the guard never came.
That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
Objection!
We got him.
Again, remember who we're dealing with here.
It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer was going on.
Objection!
Dude, this is objections back and forth. This buzzer is an extremely loud noise. There is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is. Conscious? What do you mean by that? Shit. Ugh.
Fine. Let's hear your theory.
Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious? So he fainted. That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body.
So what are you trying to say?
Mr. Delight was knocked out and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was one other person in that room. That's right. Whoever it was that knocked out Mr. Delight and then pressed the buzzer. Yeah, that's a typo. Whoever it was, they knocked... Oh, okay. No, it's not a typo. He just phrased it differently than I would have. Order! Order in the court! Mr. Wright, this is...
Objection!
This is preposterous. It was the kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard.
Objection!
Then who pressed the buzzer?
It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to press the button.
So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright? I need to prove that the real criminal was there.
At the scene, but how?
Can I prove that it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzard? I mean... Sure? The defendant's opinion is, Your Honor, this piece of evidence proves that it was not the victim. The buzzer itself? Connected to the basement security card. There are no fingerprints on it!
Take that!
Okay, so for those of you who don't... Are you allowed to interrupt the judge? Dang it, you've got me invested in this case. Devin, welcome to Phoenix Wright. That's how it happens. So just to explain my mindset, the reason I thought it was him who couldn't have done it is whoever pressed this clearly wiped it for fingerprints or was wearing gloves. A victim who is dying on the floor would not be able to wipe their fingerprints. I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible, Neil, you can say this. I believe this is the piece of evidence that is incontrovertible you were looking for. The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not.
Hey, come on now. At least give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth.
The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue. And now I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left behind fingerprints.
Objection!
The actual noise would have been like...
But Ron to the light obviously wiped them off.
Objection!
He was unconscious.
Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched the button. I know he did.
Objection!
The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Masked Stardust. And Masked Stardust always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button free of fingerprints? Order, order!
It would seem I've been forced to eat crow. I wonder what blend number crow flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Because they had frickin' Delight there to take the fall. Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? Shit. 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 What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden? Either ask me out, or just say something, Miss Wright.
Looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick.
Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz into the room around that time to see the murder, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer.
Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed.
Security was supposed to respond. I've already figured it out, Phoenix. You're behind me now. Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well, then.
You've got some guts. I like that in an opponent.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer? They didn't mean to call the security guard to find out what it did. It's this. He wanted to frame Delight. The killer knew that if they pressed the button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted. Do you mean that the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes. Although, as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in?
No, I'm not. When the buzzer sounded, there were three people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer, who had to be Luke Atme because that's the frickin' silhouette they're using. You know, I think there's an honest case to be said that it could have been Larry, but it's not Larry, it's Luke.
But how could he have done that, though? Because he was doing the frickin' robbery at the time.
Hypothetically, yes. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight.
And if any security guards came running in at the time, they would think that I was the murderer.
Yes, that was precisely what the real killer wanted. To frame Ron Delight for murder. See, that would have been a good time to take a drink, but I'm out of stuff now. Order! Order! Why did you take a drink just so you could spit it out, Godot? That's fucking wasteful!
I understand that it is wasteful, but I felt that it would add to the drama of the moment. Also, it would seem that I have unlimited coffee anyways, so who cares if I waste some? I've been made to eat my own words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee.
Mr. Wright,
who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait. Wait a second. I'm the one and only Master of the Mask, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is...
We're going to drag that person in here right now.
But who is it?
I don't have any solid proof, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. You're right, Devin. People just can't help pushing buttons sometimes. I know I like to push buttons. Button pressing is fun. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard? I think it has to be Luke, right?
Take that!
By the way, Devin, this guy's name is Luke Atme. Luke Atme. His name is Luke Atme. Look at me talking about Luke Atme. Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it.
Ace Detective. Luke Atme?
You mean Master de Mask did it? Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Master de Mask at all. He is in actuality the true murderer of Kane Bullard. Order, order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime? They're not even close. Murder is more serious, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment. Please remember the trial from yesterday, you would. When Look At Me confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, a famous detective was as unmasked, as well as masked to mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objection all along. To be found guilty? Mastar Mask had a perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mastar Mask was Atme's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi. A guilty verdict has an alibi? You know, it's almost time. For what? For Look At Me's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial after all. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course. That's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Shit, fuck. Mr. Look At Me's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and failed to provide adequate proof to his crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal. Am I really sure about this? A bet's only good when your life is empty. Mr. Wright, I believe in you. Mr. Delight. So please, I'm begging you. And with that, we had to stop for just a second. Sorry, I just received a message that my router is going to be shut off for a second, and I really don't want to lose control of this stream. So, we're going to stop for a second and then come back in another second. Thank you all for being in my jury, especially to you, Devin. And just wait a good 10 minutes or so, and then I will be returning to the stream. Have a good night, everybody. Bye. I mean, ciao. I say ciao now. Ciao is my exit. Ciao.